Are you happy with the type of person you are? Now, I've said a number of times that I'm happy with who I am, and I am happy with who I am. At the same time, I'm still all about self improvement. Even though I'm happy with the type of person I am, I gotta say, there's something really compelling and quite incredible about being someone else. Someone completely different. Whoever that someone is, presenting that person to everyone else. Hello everyone, it's your friendly neighborhood magician, Magi'Chris here. Some years ago, I was hired to perform at a steampunk event, and I was actually encouraged to dress the part. All I knew was that people were going to be dressed up in steampunk attire. There was going to be live music, a lot of random dancing. But there was one problem. I actually didn't know what steampunk was. So what is a magician to do? Yeah, I googled it. And I gotta say, I was really impressed with what I discovered. The way I kind of describe it nowadays, it's like Victorian times melded together with a bit of a sci-fi edge. So for instance, Robert Downey Jr.'s Sherlock Holmes movies, they're considered steampunk. That Magician movie with Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman, I can't remember the name of, but right here, steampunk as well. So after piecing together different types of clothing I had that could just about pass the steampunk attire, I performed at the event. I gotta say, it was fascinating. Some people in particular, they really put in so much effort. There were a lot of steampunk fans. I had no idea there was this huge steampunk community. And some of these people I was actually performing to, they were actually keeping a certain character. Seriously, some of these young men were like really well spoken and they spoke with gusto and a little bit like that hunter guy from Jumanji. So I would actually go to a group of those guys with a mind to perform to them. Yeah, and one of them kind of stunned me by keeping a certain character, and he would just kind of say to me, "Excuse me, sir, are you a man of science?" Seriously, this was brilliant. This was just completely different from anything I'd experienced, and I loved that. Anyway, one of the gentlemen that I actually performed to was a very well-dressed gentleman called Alistair. And because he really got a kick out of the magic that I was doing, we exchanged contacts. He wanted to hire me for something. And lo and behold, Alistair contacted me on Facebook and asked me if I would consider playing a walk-around character for Halloween. A special steampunk horror type Halloween event that he was putting on. And it turned out, what he was looking for was a dark magician. For me to actually do what I do, performing magic, but in a very unusual dark character where I had to keep that character no matter what happened throughout the night. The idea was that in the venue that this special big event was going to take place, there were going to be different walk-around characters. There was going to have a bar, there was going to be live music, and there were going to be multiple walk-around characters with different backstories, walking around interacting with all of the customers that are coming in to the special event. So naturally I said, I'm in. The really cool thing is that he gave me a lot of freedom to kind of create the character myself. So aside from like baggy trousers and boots, had to wear a shirt, had to be broken up with a waistcoat. Steampunk can be a mixture of rugged and sleek, so this coat kind of worked, and also for that Victorian times look. But the character actually had to make people feel uncomfortable, a certain unease in the look. One extra thing that was needed to create a mysterious, ominous look. So I'd meet up with Alistair, and once we were both happy with the look of this character, I then basically had to work on the whole attitude and the demeanor of this dark magician. You get the idea anyway. So, I informed Alistair that this dark magician, I'm giving him the name Kaso, which means curious, that he's somebody who really likes to just randomly perform magic, card tricks and things like that, but he seems to also have these extra abilities that are very disturbing. At the same time, there's something just psychologically off with him. You really get the sense that you don't want to be around this guy by yourself. Alistair loved all of this, so we put our heads together, and this is what we came up with. His name is Kaso, and he hails from New Orleans, the birthplace not just of jazz, but of voodoo and magic. Tales have been told of a doctor who became really obsessed with prolonging life, and he started playing around with dark arts, the type of thing that other people stay away from. He even spent years just traveling the world by himself, performing magic, entertaining people wherever he went, but just trying to learn more dark arts. And the idea is that he's randomly seen around London performing magic just for his own entertainment, and yet people have come forward reporting his sudden, unexpected violent outbursts. Authorities are unable to contain him because somehow he has a way of getting out. The local asylum has actually attempted to contain him, but they find they can't because he can leave whenever he wants. And yet, he is still randomly found wandering around the grounds of the asylum. The other inmates and creations there at this asylum seem to have a certain sense of dread when he's around, so they don't mess with him. And the crazy, deranged warden of this asylum is now releasing all of these inmates and creations out into this Halloween event where everyone can interact with them. So after a while I questioned myself, why does Kaso keep returning to this asylum? Why does he always hang out with this warden? Well, let's just say, in our story, very old images and writings have been found proving that Kaso is actually considerably older than his physical state would imply possible. Nobody knows how long he's been around. It could be over 200 years. Somehow he has found a way to prolong his life. Imagine being alive for that long while being drunk on dark magic and this anger building up. So why does he hang around with the warden, you ask? It's because to him, finally, someone who knows how to have a little fun. I gotta say, the other guys who played these walk-around characters, they were great. And they were all instructed to be very cautious and a little afraid whenever I was around. Kaso developed over time, so when it came to the event, I did actually have some makeup done. The lighting in this place was so eerie. There was this kind of eerie music playing. There's a guy in a straight jacket just kind of walking around like that. There was a really big, like, muscular guy who just didn't really talk, but he would really grunt at people. Now, when I usually perform magic, I go about it in a way that initially makes people feel comfortable when I approach them. You know, a friend of mine actually went to that event, and I saw her a few days later, and she actually said to me, "Chris, you were really creepy that night. You know, I was with all of my mates, and my friend Jessica was just talking to me, and we didn't even see you approach. You know, you were just standing there with the group, and you were just staring just blankly at Jessica." And I actually laughed when I heard this because I remembered it vividly, that I would just keep staring at them. They would turn around when they noticed I was there, and they would maybe just say, "Hello, how are you?" And I would be unresponsive for a while, but then slowly I would start talking, or I would just show them something, and I would do something kind of weird, and then they would want to see more magic, and at times I would smile, but then at times I would go blank, and yeah, it was just good fun. One of my favorite memories from that event was that I hadn't performed for anybody yet. I'm just casually walking around, just trying to get into character. And then I ended up just going to this area that was just lit in blue light. And I stood there in a certain position with my legs apart and my head low, so I kind of cast this silhouette on the ground. I didn't move from that position for about 10 minutes. I just stayed there very still until people were very accustomed to me, like I was a statue. I would then get down slowly onto the floor and sit down cross-legged. And I remember slowly taking off my sunglasses and putting them on the ground, and then holding my hands over them as I did this. Now, obviously in this clip I'm going to show you, I wasn't playing Kaso, and it was very fast, but this will give you the idea. But yes, definitely one of my favorite experiences of my life, playing this character. Yes, it has been years since I've played Kaso, so I am putting him to rest for now. We'll see what happens in the future. Now, I have to admit, initially when Alistair came to me with this proposition to actually play a dark magician, I wasn't really sure about it. Because even though I've had acting experience before, I've always felt like I have failed at dark, dangerous characters because I couldn't quite get there, because even as a person it wasn't in my nature, and I struggled to get there even as an actor. But you know what, I had to learn to really trust myself and have more faith in myself and treat this as a worthwhile experience. So if I'm going to leave you with something right now, I'm going to leave you with this. Don't allow fear to stop you from actually doing things. In the words of J.K. Rowling, you have to at least try, even if there's a possibility of failure. Because if you don't try, then you fail by default. Every once in a while, take a chance. See where it takes you. Okay everyone, that's me. Thank you so much for listening to this story. Please be sure to like my Facebook page, subscribe to me on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. More videos coming your way. Much love to you guys. Take care.